Namaste. Welcome to the Hindu Parenting Podcast, where we explore timeless Hindu wisdom for raising grounded, resilient, and spiritually rooted children in the modern world. In Hindu thought, parenting does not begin at birth, it begins even before conception. Our scriptures place immense importance on the inner and outer environment surrounding pregnancy. In fact, among the 16 samskaras of Hindu life, the very first ones are connected to preparing for and nurturing new life in the womb. Today's episode explores a fascinating and deeply meaningful aspect of this tradition, Garbhadhvani Samskar, the role of sacred sound, mantra, and vibration during pregnancy. Joining us today is Vidya Vishwanath. After a successful career spanning more than 3 decades in the technology industry, Vidya chose to dedicate herself to sharing sacred Hindu knowledge and practices. She has spent years teaching Sriman Narayaniyam and now leads an initiative called Garbhadhvani Samskar, which focuses on nurturing the unborn child through devotional sound and conscious spiritual practices during pregnancy. Vidya, welcome to the Hindu Parenting Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Hari Om Rekha, thank you very much for having me.
For listeners who may be hearing this term for the first time, could you explain what Garbha Samskar really means? What is the traditional Hindu understanding of pregnancy and prenatal development?
So, basically, your question, I would like to answer your question in two parts. First is to throw some light on Garbha Samskar, and next on pregnancy and development, the second part of your question. So, our Sanatana Dharma has 16 samskars. It starts even before a baby is conceived. That's called Garbhadhana. And then it goes on to once the baby is conceived, in the second month, there is a tradition of a practice called Pumsavana. I will tell a little about each of this as we proceed. The third one is Simontanayana. After that, of course, there are other practices also, like we have Jata Karma, we have Nama Karma, naming ceremony, then we have Annaprashna, the first time a solid food is given to a child. And then we have Vidyarambam, we all know that. Then we have Upanayana, we have Vivaha. The last one is Antyeshti. That is the final rites of a soul that has departed. The first three that I spoke about, Garbhadhana, Pumsavana, and Simantonayana, these three come under the umbrella of Garbha Samskar. So, what are these three? As per Garbha Samskar, that is our Sanatana Dharma's first three samskars, samskar means impression. So, as per our Garbha Samskar, preparation for a new birth happens even before conception. It happens 90 days or sometimes even earlier. The minute a couple thinks, should we have a child? That's where Garbha Samskar starts. So, what is done during that period? So, before getting into that, I want to talk to you about the pillars of Garbha Samskar. What are the pillars of Garbha Samskar? You go into your internet, you Google Garbha Samskar, you will read a lot about yoga. You will read a lot about diet, right? So, some of the things that are there in Garbha Samskar, first thing is ahar, what we eat. When I say eat, basically consume, not necessarily through our mouth. It is what we see, what we hear. All this is consumption. So, ahar is a very important pillar. The next one is vyavahar, how we behave, how we behave with others, how we behave with our spouses, the spouses, how they behave with each other, how we treat ourselves, vyavahar with the self. So all these things come under vyavahar. The next one is vichar. What I'm thinking. Am I thinking good? Am I thinking kind thoughts? Because all these are going to attract the right baby to you, the right soul to you. As per Garbha Samskar, the parents don't select the baby selects the parent. The soul selects who is going to be my parent because the soul has a blueprint that it has to achieve in this life, in this janma. So it will select who is going to be my parent. So for you to be able to attract the right soul, you have to practice all these three. And the last, very important, is samvad, what you speak, how you speak. Are you brash? Are you angry all the time? Are you having insecurities? Because all these things that you are experiencing is going to form impressions on your womb, whether it has a baby yet or it doesn't have a baby yet. All these are going to form impressions. Impressions are samskars. So it is important. Now, I can't decide the baby I want has to be very intelligent, has to be very well behaved. And here I'm angry with everyone. I'm not respecting myself. I'm not watching what I'm eating. I'm not really bothered about my body. But then I want the baby to be like that. That doesn't happen. So, whatever qualities you want in your baby, you start practicing it. When I say you, again, I want to tell here it is not only the mother, it is the father also. Because there's one more aspect in Garbha Samskar. What is that? The mother's womb is the field that she is preparing. But it is the father, as per Garbha Samskar, the father's sperm is the one that is getting impregnated in that field. So it is the father who's actually attracting the right soul. The mother is the doer. She is taking care, she is physically doing. But all the other spiritual attractions, everything is done by the father as per Garbha Samskar.
Now, that is
Now,
a very
again,
interesting point, Vidya, because we usually think that pregnancy is limited to the woman who is carrying the fetus, the baby. And we very rarely think about the surroundings. We very rarely think about what the woman is thinking about, how she's speaking, the vyavahara part, as you so rightly mentioned. And we seldom think about the father at all, right? We don't give any attention to all these things. And based on what you say, it makes sense that there is an increasing awareness of these things, even among professional and urban parents and parents to be. I've noticed a lot of people are now talking about Garbha Samskar, but what you do is something more specialized, right? You focus on Garbha Dhvani Samskar. So, what does Dhvani mean in this context? And how
so
is it different from the broader idea of Garbha Samskar?
So, here I want to actually go and talk a little bit about Garbhopanishad. Garbhopanishad is a very, very old Upanishad. See, actually, as per modern science, just 250 years back, they have discovered that an ovum and a sperm fertilize to form a fetus. Go to our Garbha Upanishad, which is dated at around 3000 to 4000 years old, authored by our sage Pepalada. In that, it clearly tells the human anatomy, what are the stages of development of the baby, and in that it says the first, when the fertilization happens, a globule is formed. After that, a bubble is formed. That is nothing but the sac that is being scanned now after 40 days.
Mhm.
So all this is very clearly documented so many years back. That is the next thing. Now, why did I talk about this? One very important aspect there is the psychological and spiritual state of the fetus in the womb. And this is impacted by sound. Go Google Garbha Samskar, you get a lot of material on yoga, you get a lot of material on diet. One thing that is missed is our stotras, our mantras, our shlokas, which will actually cause that vibration. Actually, as I keep talking to you, one thing will lead to another. Why vibration? There is something called the parasympathetic nervous system. That nervous system takes care of all the involuntary activities of the body: urination, reproduction, heartbeat. All of this is taking care of that. The longest nerve of the parasympathetic nervous system, it starts from the brain stem and goes through the neck, through the chest. That is called the vagal nerve. It is proved, there are papers, you can Google, that chanting creates vibrations in the parasympathetic nervous system, and this improves something called the vagal tone. When the vagal tone improves, the womb gets even more ready to attract the baby. So it is very, very important for us to understand this is not necessarily spiritual. There is a science associated to it. Just one small thing I'll tell you. We've heard about stem cells of late, in the last 25, 30 years. Let us even keep 40 years, 50 years. We've heard stem cells, okay, stem cell banking and all that. Do you know for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, the umbilical cord of a baby is actually kept in a cylinder and kept around the baby's, either tied around the baby's waist or on the neck? What is that? That is stem cell. So all these practices have always been there. Thanks to the internet, thanks to the information, people are now being aware. And over the years, for whatever reasons, which let's not even discuss that, but many of our practices, which we say are spiritual, have been relegated to being superstitious. So it is time people understand, and people have started becoming aware that all this is not superstitious. These are not superstitions. These are some things that actually make a difference. Take two children who are 3 years old. One will be throwing a tantrum, one will be peaceful. Why? Something is different.
Right.
So that impression is what we start creating when the baby is in the womb. So what they say is every minute, 2.5 lakh neurons is developed in the baby's brain, in the womb. Every minute, 2.5 lakh neurons. And all this neurons is what? Brain. Right? So, and it has a direct, and now there are so many papers written about, there is something called epigenetic sciences. What is epigenetic sciences? Environmental factors which are impacting or altering DNA. Environmental factors, psychological factors, which is altering DNA. Means, if I chant, I can alter and make everything the way I want it to be. Now, I can't, of course, say that, oh, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a singer, you have to be a doctor. No. But expose the child to as much as possible. So just like I would say a mother is maybe anxious, a father is anxious, what is happening? The baby there is more anxious. And as per, so in Garbhopanishad, one of the things that is said is, it, of course, it tells about Paramatma. It says that everything living is shrunk and it's in my womb. Who is saying this? Mahavishnu. And I impregnate the seed of every living being on the earth. Why I'm telling you this is, everything is connected. And we have to first believe in it. With complete surrender, if we are able to chant, miracles are bound to happen.
Now, this is a great point. See, many of our stories, you hear, say, in the story of Ashtavakra, the fetus in the womb has absorbed everything that the father is chanting to, right? So there's a lot of evidence for this in the Puranic stories. And in the modern context, even as early as maybe 20, 30 years ago, in the West, there was this movement called Baby Mozart, exposing your baby in the womb to good classical music. So you see how cultures, different cultures come together to find that there are effects on the baby, things that you don't realize. The baby is a living, breathing, I mean, it is an actual baby inside.
It's an identity.
And
It's a
it is a,
individual.
it's an individual developing. And so everything that you do has an impression on the growing fetus. So today, many women balance demanding careers, long commutes, stressful schedules, whether at work or whatever they do during pregnancy. They don't really get much of rest. So, for someone who says, I simply don't have the time to do all these things, what would your advice be?
Okay. So, before coming directly to your question, I want to also take this opportunity to tell you why Garbhadhwani. So, as I told you, many of our chants, our stotras, our mantras, our shlokas, and all people are not even aware of. So, that is where, in fact, Garbhadhwani was coined by me when I
Okay,
started
I see.
Garbhadhwani. So,
Very interesting.
there is no Garbhadhwani in Garbha Samskar. This is my initiative. So, because then, yeah. So, the reason why I'm doing this is people need to be aware of the powerful chants that we have. Do you know that Garbha Rakshambika Stotram, there is one for every month of pregnancy?
That's amazing.
Gar
One for every month, covering the nine
month,
months.
yes. Not only that, when you want to conceive, there is one shloka. So we suggest that you tell these shlokas every day 108 times. Is it possible to tell 108 times? Maybe some people will take the time out. Some people can just listen to it. So we have recorded everything and put it in our app. We have something called a Garbhadhwani app where we have an audio library of curated shlokas that people, shlokas, stotras, mantras. So when I say stotram, it could be Kavach, Devi Kavach, it could be Rama Raksha Stotram, it could be Aditya Hridaya Stotram. All these things, all these stotras are curated and the recordings are available. You can put it in a loop, you can slow it down, fast it down, do your work, keep listening to it. I'm not saying just listen to Garbhadhwani. Please listen whatever you can. Because all those vibrations subconsciously are going into the as vibrations into the amniotic fluid reaching the baby. That is point number one. Point number two, we chant. See, we can chant by ourselves and we can, it's very, very powerful. But very often, when you chant together as a group, that satsang causes,
Mhm.
you know, the kind of vibrations it causes, the kind of calm it causes is exponential compared to when you do it by yourself. So we meet every Saturday and we all chant together for each other
Okay.
and for ourselves. So I invite your participants, please do come and join us.
So Vidya, you've made it easy for pregnant women in two ways. One is through the app, right? Because they can then listen to it, and
Correct.
that is so much easier than making the effort to read it by oneself. Say things like maybe 11 times, or 108 seems like a stretch, but 11 is really doable. And so they can listen to it. So that's one way you have made things easier. And the other way that you have made things easier is by having your Saturday sessions. Because on Saturdays, whoever is enrolled in the Garbhadhwani Samskar can connect together and you can all chant together to amplify the vibrations. And they also have a nice little community. See, that is
Correct.
another very important thing, because what we are missing these days is the community. So even we at Hindu Parenting, we have a special community, and we try to make things available for people to do as a group, because that again is so helpful, both from the point of view of support, uh, physical, moral, psychological support, first for the parents to be, and then for the children themselves. So I'm so glad that you've made your Saturday sessions group sessions, because I think that is the key to continuing.
Yeah, one of the things is when one person opens up and talks about something, you don't know how many others are benefited. So it is, we it's a very structured session. We have jap, we have mandatory mantras that we chant. Then we learn shlokas, we learn stotras, then we listen. I, in fact, encourage them, just be calm. Some people go to sleep. Some of the, my cohort, from the cohort have come and told me, I felt the baby move a lot when I was listening to this
Mhm.
chant. Then another one said, I'm feeling so calm. I think I feel I'm sleeping, but I'm listening to everything. I'm able to hear everything. So that is the amount of calm that young mothers or going to be mothers need today. The amount of stress they have, the amount
Mhm.
of information overload they have, Instagram, Facebook, whatever apps they use, right, is too much. And for them to be able to see, just now you were telling something, Rekha, it struck me. If I
Mm.
ask you, just please close your eyes, imagine a beautiful beach, and on the other side of that beach, you can see mountains, you can see a cliff, you can see some trees. So I'm letting you imagine all this, right?
Mhm.
It is helping you be creative. You can, the cliff and the sea and the beach that you imagine will be different from what somebody else's imagines. Correct? But if I'm going to give you a mobile or a device and you scroll through all that, it just shrinks your creativity. That also impacts the baby.
So,
So in one of the things that they encourage in Garbha Samskar, do puzzles, do drawings, do creative work. You can do knitting. In fact, see, we all know, right? The minute anyone is pregnant, they sit and they start knitting. All this is creativity that has always been part of our culture.
I think it's very calming also when you do something repetitive. That is also creative. It can be very calming, and you want the pregnant woman to feel calm. What kind of things do people in your workshops share with you? In the sense, they must be having some common concerns or emotional struggles that they specifically talk to you about and seek your advice on. So, what are some of the most common concerns that you encounter?
So it seems this is common, but I was taken so by surprise. The first question that in my first session, one girl asked me, Ma'am, my family wants me to be happy all the time. I go to work, I come, I make sure everything is fine at home, cook, all that. That itself drains me. But now I feel so much pressure to be happy all the time. What do I do? Telling those words, her eyes were full of tears. I have to be happy, and her eyes are teary. I was so taken aback, Rekha, because this is not something that, because they know, the elders, whoever are there, right? They know you have to be happy. It is, reaching the baby is also happy, and all that.
Right.
So this was one of the questions that I had. And another one that I had, in fact, some experiences shared, that, ma'am, after I started chanting, my thyroid and my sugar have become normal. I can't believe it. So this is one of my students who's trying to get pregnant. So these kind of comments that they give, right? How it helped them. Somebody had just gone through a not a very positive experience in pregnancy and was trying for another baby. So after ages, I felt calm. So these kind of validations when I get, I feel very. I mean, it kind of validates what I'm doing. That is one thing. My own personal experience was this Sukha Prasava. So again, I'm telling you, these shlokas and all that I'm saying, whether it is Saundarya Lahari Sukha Prasava Mantra, Bala Mukundashtakam, Santana Gopala Mantram. This is not only for during the pregnancy. As soon as a baby is born, there are a couple of very powerful shlokas that the parents can tell the baby. It's basically about a blessing for the baby to be having a good and a fruitful life. There are shlokas in Saundarya Lahari which support lactation because Saundarya Lahari is Mata Parvati. She is the universal mother. She is the one who's sustaining us, right? So we pray to her, just like you are sustaining me, may I be able to lactate and feed my baby. So there are shlokas for that. So, and of course, for labor, for a smooth labor, the Sukha Prasava mantra, Yakshini mantra. So, somebody close to me had gone through a long labor, and I was also, that was new. I had just started Garbhadhvani, and I started questioning myself. I'm telling all the shlokas. Why is this going on extending? Why is the labor extending? Why is the baby not coming? And then I realized I was missing one shloka. And I started chanting it. By the time I finished 108, that was less than an hour. So, what didn't happen in 36 hours happened in 1 hour, and the baby was out.
That's wonderful.
So, I
That
would
that
like to
also
believe it
gives.
is definitely because of the chanting that I did. It validates because that is the answer I am getting from the Paramatma, I am getting from the universe. You are on the right path. So, these are my personal experiences.
That's wonderful. It also gives hope because it seems like family members can participate in this journey. Husbands, grandparents, um, and the larger family, whoever's around the pregnant woman, can also recite these mantras, and they can support the emotional and spiritual environment of pregnancy. So that is very heartening to hear. Um,
So, one of the things is it is not only the girl or the to be mother who is going through the journey. So, there is something called Garbha Samvad. Samvad means you talk to the baby. This Samvad, so the baby is listening to voices around, it is listening to sounds around, it is listening to the mother's voice, it is listening to the father's voice, it is listening to the grandparents' voice, it is listening to the dog barking, it is listening to everything. So, how so when for example a mother-in-law makes something special for the daughter-in-law, she not only makes the daughter-in-law happy, she makes two people happy, the daughter-in-law and the baby. When the
True.
father to be shows some kind of a small support, it could be just getting a cushion when the mother is sitting down, right? Put a cushion in the back, and she feels good and happy and supported. That feeling he is giving two people, the mother and the baby. So, one of the things, of course, here we introduce something called Garbha Samvad, where we tell everyone has to talk to the baby. Okay, I don't know if you know about this experiment. I recently saw someone tried to redo it and shared it on YouTube, the actual results. So, there were three small glasses of rice that were kept, little rice with water. It was covered. On one was written love, on one was written hate, on one was written ignore. So the only job the people in the family did is when they pass through the jar with love, they talk something loving. Oh, I love you. You're so beautiful. And when they went through the past the hate one, they told something very hateful. And they just ignored the third one. After a few days, when they opened it, the one which was love was still very fresh. The rice was white, everything was fine. The one that was hate had some fungus coming in it. It was getting to rot. But what shocked them is the one that had ignore, there was something extremely nasty happening inside it. And they just wanted that thing out of the house. What does this mean? The worst you can do for anyone is to ignore them, especially when a person is pregnant. It is important. You need you don't need to go out of your way to buy expensive gifts. It can be just a call from office saying, "How are you?" It can be just that I was eating this and I thought about you. It could be anything. The least we should have is ignore the person. In fact, in our custom itself, Rekha, I'm sure you know, when somebody is pregnant, even the neighbors will get something. What do you like to
Yes.
eat? Let me get you something that you like to eat. Do you like to eat sweet? So all this is some practices that we always had. But nowadays, the generation is so caught up in career, in work. All these small, small things are forgotten. And these are very, very, very important in the samskar, in the impressions it is making on the womb.
Well said. Indeed. These are the small things, the sense of community, sense of looking out for, the next generation that begins at conception. So that's fantastic. Let's spend a moment. Let's talk about your journey from technology, because I know you spent 30 years working in IT. So from technology to spiritual education, what inspired this transition, and how did Garbhadhvani Samskar become your calling?
Before Garbhadvani Samskar, it was Narayaniam. It is Narayaniam. I still teach Narayaniam. So
Yes.
I went through a personal loss somewhere in 2016. And my guru, at that time, she said, I'm going to start these Narayaniam classes. Um, Srimati Sudha Bharat. And I just joined the classes. And I believe learning Narayaniam helped me. It was a straw that I hooked onto to
Mhm.
escape the depression I was getting into.
Okay.
And because it was my own experience, I felt it is very important that everybody should benefit. And hence, with her permission and blessing, I started teaching. And COVID happened, right? So everything became online. And then I said, okay, let me, because people were going through a lot, right? It could be isolation, it could be staying, living together alone, and So I said, okay, let me start teaching Narayaniam. That's when I started teaching Narayaniam. And personally, for my own, selfishly, when my daughter was going through her pregnancy, and we were looking at a lot, we were researching a lot about what is Garbha Samskar. Because suddenly, as you know, in the last, I think 1 year or 2 years, a lot is being said, Garbha Samskar, are you in Garbha Samskar class? What is Garbha Samskar?
Yes.
So when I went and checked, it was only about yoga, diet, maybe some kind of affirmations. And then I said, there are so many shlokas, there are so many stotras. I would want, for example, my kids to say Aditya Hridayam daily. Because Lord Surya is the one because of which day night happens. Lord Surya is the one because of which photosynthesis happens. The carbon cycle, the oxygen cycle, the water cycle. Aditya Hridayam was chanted by Lord Rama when he was fighting Ravana and when he was actually feeling weak. Sage Agastya advised him, pray to Surya. So we all know Kunti's story also. So he is the source of life.
Right.
As long as sun is there, life is there. So I would want my children to tell Aditya Hridayam daily when they are pregnant, for example. So then I said, okay, this is one gap. What can I do to address it? And then I said, okay, I spoke to a few friends and I said, I'm planning to start these classes. Will somebody be interested? The first batch, 10 people. I didn't expect. So people weren't able to, people who start courses like this, they'll say, if you have one or two, you start off. I said, I have 10. Just start. And then the validation I get every time from my uh, cohort, my students, I don't know whether to call them students, my children, my girls, some call me Amma, some call me Auntie. But when I get from them, one of the feedback I get, you should get into counseling. I said, I'm not even qualified for that. I felt so good, Auntie, after this. So when I get these kind of validation, it kind of reinforces that this is my calling. And then, fortunately or unfortunately, 30 years of computer science, and then I created the app. It so you know that. So
Yes. Yeah.
so
That's good. It came
and
in
then
handy. I
it
think,
came in
you know,
handy. And then yeah, every
everything
day
that
there
we
is
do.
something, yeah, that is added. So we have some. So we have these beach mantras, Rekha. That is
Mm,
Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Gam is the beach.
mm, mm,
Beach means
mm.
seed. Om Reem Garbha Rakshambikaye Namaha. Reem is the beach. Beach means that is the concentration of all the mother's energy. Gum is the concentration of all Ganesha's energy, right? So these beach mantras every day we chant. Not only we chant that, of course we learn stotras, we listen to good music, and we do affirmations as well. So yeah, that was my calling.
I actually wanted to ask you what happens during a typical session. How do you structure it? And I think you've answered that question because just for expectant mothers to know what they're going to get into. How long does the session last?
So the one that we do online is around 50 minutes because I keep around 10 minutes for people to talk. If they want to
Okay.
talk, they want to share something, ask some questions. Um, One of the things you asked me is what is the kind, two things that um, very often come to me. One is my husband doesn't understand. Sometimes it's couples who attend, sometimes the husbands don't come. He doesn't understand the importance, Amma, how to make him understand. So that is one of the questions I get all the time.
So, Vidya, not everyone may be able to actually join a formal Garbha Samskar or a Garbhadvani Samskar program. And some of them would just be listening at home. Many expectant mothers would be listening to this podcast at home. So, what are some simple things that they can do? Maybe some simple daily practices or some simple habits that they can begin immediately.
Okay. First thing I would request people to do is instead of just saying hi, you can start with Hari Om, Radhe Radhe, Jai Ambe, instead of saying bye. So this is a small thing that also causes some vibration and that goes in and affects your womb. That is the first thing. Next, in our own app, we have 20-minute sessions which are curated. Those 20-minute sessions, 3 sessions per week, are curated and you can replay it again and again how many ever times you want. So it's curated based on the profile, whether you're trying to conceive, which trimester you're in. And those slokas are curated and you are taught those slokas, or you chant those slokas, or you listen to them, or and you do some affirmation. So this is typically 20 minutes. If you don't have even 20 minutes, you have 5 minutes in a day, we have something called Garbha Shanti, a 5 minute reset. You just plant your feet on the floor. Who is the biggest mother? Mother Earth. You plant your feet on the floor. If possible, touch. You can't do that because of your situation. That's fine. Fold your hands. Say, Mother Earth, please bless me. It's that bhav, that emotion that will go and go through your vagal nerve and get into your womb, get into the amniotic fluid. This 5 minute reset is the mandatory chance. As I told you, the Beej mantra. One affirmation. I encourage parents of mothers to be relatives, friends, husband to talk to the baby daily. Just tell the baby, you know what happened today in office? You know what happened today? The water stopped. You know, today I was so happy I ate my first mango. You know, today that auntie brought the food that I like. Start introducing everyone around your in your ecosystem to the child when the child is in the womb itself. Because what do parents want? You need physical um, IQ, intelligence quotient. Everyone wants an intelligent child. You need emotion EQ, someone who's emotionally stable, who's going to be able to bond with me. How will the child bond with you? Only when you talk to the child. Do not ignore the child. I told you the example of the rice. Please do not ignore
Yeah.
the child. The third one, so we talked about IQ, we talked about EQ, we talked about physical quotient. You want a physically fit child. And the last one, you want a spiritually inclined child, because today it is important that everyone should understand what is my purpose in life. Why? Why am I here? What am I going to do? So, to be able to understand that, to be able to even think on those lines, you need the spiritual quotient. So, all this you can introduce to the child. When the child is tiny, see, a big hand, if I'm going to make some impression on a big hand, it's going to take so much more effort. But if it's a single cell, or it's just so many few cells, it's easy to make that impression, right? So when the baby is in the womb, start making those impressions. That is what I would encourage. And be calm. One of the things, as I told you, is conflicts. Oh, there's so much pressure in office. Or today, somebody told me this at home. All I tell my girls is, this time there's something called 1,000 day golden days. That is from the time 90 days before pregnancy till the child is around 2.5 years old. Normally, because they say try to lactate the child till then. So these 1,000 golden days are very, very important for the mother. So what I recommend to the mother, it's not easy, everyone has to practice it, is any conflict you have, you can pick it up another day and you can prove your point. Let the other person think they have won. Say, yeah, yeah, you're great. Walk away from there. Because right now, what is most important is you need to be calm, you need to be peaceful, and you don't need stress.
This is absolutely fascinating, and it's the first time that Hindu parenting has touched the Garbha Samskar, because that's such an important part of becoming a parent. So I'm really happy that we had this conversation today. Um, being the Hindu Parenting Podcast, what guidance would you offer to Hindu parents raising children? And this could be raising children of different ages in today's fast paced and hyper connected digital world. Anything specific you'd like to talk about to parents?
I think one very important learning for me also is our generation, I think, Rekha, when we were told, do this, we did it without questioning much. Maybe our generation started questioning. But if you're going to try that with the current crop of kids, it's not going
Mm-hmm.
to work. So if you're going
Right.
to tell your child every day, get up and, do namaskar to God, or put a vibhuti, or
Mm-hmm.
chant Hari Om, or, write Sri Rama Jayam, Rama 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 100 times or 12 times. If you're going to tell these things, it's not going to work. The only way it will work is, first, as I told, you have to practice and lead by example. Unless you do it, because kids will ape you and they're going to turn back and ask, you're not doing, why you asking me to do,
Right.
right? So,
That's fair.
first, you practice it, let them see it, let them share the benefits. Oh, you know what? Today I did this, and I think this has happened because of that. I felt much calmer because I did this. You keep sharing this. When the time comes, they know they need to do it. And if you're going to say, oh, God will punish you if you don't do this, doesn't work. You first learn why we are doing any practices. Why Garbha Samskar? Why should I
Mm-hmm.
chant daily? Why is chanting, when I say Om, even before the session, right? When we said Om, we felt calm. Why? Why am I feeling calm? What is happening? What is happening to the chemicals in my body? The internet has plethora of information. First, you get your answers. You be convinced. Only then you can ask the next generation to follow any practice or do anything. Unless they understand what's in it for me and why, they are not going to do anything. They may do it maybe to please you in front of you. Are they going to internalize it? So you have to be very equipped. Why we are practicing something, why we are asking the children to practice. And you can only lead by example.
That's great advice. And as I always keep saying, it's never too late to learn. If you don't know something, you can learn along with your child. So that's absolutely great.
I'm learning Garbha Samskar with my children.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Finally, what message would you like to leave for young Hindu men and women who will one day become parents themselves?
It is very important that you need to understand. See, ahar, okay. It is important you need to understand the pillars of Garbha Samskar. When I say ahar, one of the arguments I find is, why shouldn't I watch gore? Why shouldn't I watch horror um, when I'm pregnant or when we are trying to conceive a child? Right? So, understand why. There is a lot of material out there, scientific material, which tells how the cells in our body shrink, right? Become tight, and that is not conducive to conceiving. Why should I follow a particular diet? What you eat is what you are. We all know that, right? So it is important if you and Vyavahar, if you want your child to be a good citizen, you be a good citizen first. You treat each other well. You treat each other with respect. So the child can see what is respect. Treat yourself with respect. Then the child will not feel guilty about doing something for herself when she is born. How you want the child to be, you model. And if you're going to say, I'm going to do this when I plan to conceive, doesn't really work. You start making those tiny, tiny habit corrections today. 1 minute, 1%, 1%, not even 1%. Do even less than 1%. Every day it's going to exponentially improve yourself. And Garbha Samskar, Garbha Dhvani is not necessarily spiritual. It is science, which we have proved with Garbhopanishad, which today modern science is rediscovering.
Fantastic. It's been a great experience talking to you. Incremental improvement is the way to go. That's what you'd like to tell young people. I think that's great advice for every aspect of a young person's journey, no matter what they do. Right? It's very important that they focus on the incremental improvements that they can make, and that adds up. And that's a great lesson to take from this whole episode. Vidya, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing these beautiful insights on Garbhadhvani Samskar. The Hindu tradition has long recognized the profound influence of the prenatal experience, and that parenting is also about consciously shaping the emotional, spiritual, and cultural environment into which a child arrives. We have seen today how Garbhadhvani Samskar makes that wisdom accessible to modern parents. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please do share it with family and friends, especially expectant parents who may benefit from these insights. Thank you for listening to the Hindu Parenting Podcast. There are many resources for parents under the Hindu Parenting umbrella. We have articles, podcasts, classes for children, and a thriving, close-knit community of Hindu parents. Reach out to us if you'd like to be part of the Garbhadhwani community or the Hindu parenting community. Visit hinduparenting.org to know more. Follow the handle Hindu Parenting on social media like X and Instagram. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Until next time, stay rooted, stay conscious, and keep the dharmic wisdom alive in your homes.